Yeah, for those of you who aren't in cabinet, I feel like this will be a good introduction to like kind of like what cabinet does and like how they do it. Um, but yeah, I can just get started. So I'll share my screen. All right, so here's the presentation I made. So this is really for general members, but I don't think any general members showed up today, so they can just watch the recording if they want. So I basically just made a presentation on how to host different scientific events. I wrote scientific here, but really these skills that you learn from this presentation and like the Sunscape example that I have can be applied to any event you want to create with any field or anything like that. So the first thing, which is very important, is brainstorming. So I put three different categories that are crucial in the brainstorming stage. So the first one is you want different ways. So one of them would be like the type of activity that you want. So maybe do you want like a bingo night? Do you want like, escape room? Like whatever type of activity you want to provide, you want to make sure you have that down and you know about the activity that you want to do. And then the general theme can also relate to like a general category. So like, like what bigger than science. So what type of area do you want to work with? And educationally or informationally. And then you would go to the next level, which would be the fields of science. So once you have that broad overview of what topic you want to work on, then you would go to like narrow it down to the fields of science, the scientific areas that you want to be interested in, the scientific areas that relate to, the event that you're creating or your mission of your organization, whatever it may be. And then another level to that actually would be further narrowing the topics down so you have a subset of topics within that field of science. So if your field of science is biology, you might want to narrow it down to neuroscience, which I'll talk about later as it relates to our escape room. So there's that. And then you also want to have a rough itinerary. So that would just be like a rough plan of what you want to do. Um, you want to make sure that, it could just be as simple as like, okay, we're going to be introducing our slides and then we're going to come up with activity and then we're going to take questions or something like that. Just like a general structure that you can refer back to when you need to and kind of go off that in the rough planning stages. Then you want to keep in mind target audience. So you want to know your audience and who you're providing your event to. And with that, you want to keep in mind diversity and demographics. And by that, I mean diversity as it relates to everyone, the general definition of diversity, as well as um, take for Stony Brook, for example, you want to know that, hey, look, I'm providing to Stony Brook students. So you might want an event that relates to the Stony Brook community or has themes relating to the Stony Brook community. And you also want to keep in mind within the Stony Brook community, there's different levels of students, right? So there's like freshmen, sophomores, seniors, there's different levels, and those people have different um, intellectual capabilities, they have different knowledge, they've taken different classes. So you want to keep that in mind too, as just as an example. So there's always layers within layers of diversity and who you're providing to. With your audience, you also want to make sure that you not only listen to the people that you have access to that can access your event, but also think about like capability. So think about the resources that you have within your community and how you can use those to provide for people outside of your community. So an example might be, if you're catering for an event, um, you want to make sure that, let's say you want to branch out to the state of New York, right? And you want everyone from the state of New York to, not everyone, but a good amount of people to come to your event. You want to make sure you have the resources to hold that many people and make sure that the event that you are holding is engaging to most of those people because the people in New York are very diverse, right? There's people from all different educational backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, and there's a lot of layers. So you want to make sure you're keeping those in mind too when you're creating your event. Um, and as far as materials go, they can be lectures, they can be like workshop activities, they can be art, they can be trivia, whatever you want. But just as like a good tip to keep in mind, it's always good to have a fun activity in the end because like when you're lecturing for like an hour or 90 minutes, people tend to zone out. They have like short attention spans, right? So you want to make sure you have something in the end that either applies the skills that they've learned or maybe like a Kahoot or something where they can, use the information they learned and answer some questions, something fun like that where they're not just going to zone out and be bored. Um, so keeping like people's attention spans in mind is also key. Next, we have collaborations. So this is not like a must, but it's always good to branch out your network and kind of talk to different people and see how other people are organizing their events and see you know what type of event you guys can create together. So figure out who you want to collaborate with, if any, and that can make hosting the event easier. So if you're hosting like a very large event, like the state event I mentioned, you want a lot of people to help you. So that one collaborations are one way where you can get a lot of support and a bigger network where it'll be easier for you and whoever's working with you on the event to come up with the event. You can also, this is also nice because you could also get multiple perspectives, right? So everyone is different and everyone has their own ideas and their own thoughts. So it's just nice to hear someone else's thoughts on, a particular event that you guys are having and kind of, I guess, like merge your thoughts and ideas together to create an event that people find engaging. Um, but something along these lines, like with collaborations, is that you have to know exactly what you're doing and have kind of a strict timeline in mind, because you never know how the other person is going to react to, the type of information you need from them, and you don't know like their busy work schedules or anything like that. So you want to make sure you give them time in advance. And let them know in advance, like, hey, this is what you have to do, and set hardcore deadlines for them to finish it. Because if you don't have deadlines, then people it tends to slip from people's minds, and that could result in getting your event postponed. And if that happens, then you're going to have to make a lot of changes to your event or any advertising you did. So it's always best to be firm with the other party and make sure that they know what they need to do and make sure that you know what you need to do. And anything you have to do with the other party, make sure you get it done like weeks ahead of the event, because if it's something that you have to do, you can always do it a week before because you're doing it. You know what you need to do, but also keep in mind that if you're collaborating with someone else, they're also relying on you to complete your work as well. So kind of just have a mutual timeline where both of you can achieve your different individual parts and make the event happen. And yeah, that's what I mean. Have an idea of your timeline. There's an extra bullet point there. Just ignore that. Okay, so let's move on to details. So once you have, your target audience planned out, your collaboration, who you're working with, all these rough details, you want to get more into it and you want to flesh out the event more. So you want to create a detailed itinerary. You want to know, what dates you're going to be hosting the event, what times, what you're going to do within each of the time specific blocks. Um, and kind of like if you're going to create a presentation or something like that, you want to kind of discuss the main ideas of the presentation and uh, sorry? Okay, so you just have to like discuss the main ideas of the presentation or the bingo night or whatever you want to create. Make sure you have the main ideas down, and then once you have the main ideas down, you can kind of specify it a little bit more and work your way from that. And I know some of the events can be very complicated and complex, right? So the way to deal with that is kind of just start off simple, start off with the big ideas, and then specify them as the further you get down and the more event you have developed. Also, once you have the detailed itinerary, you'll know exactly what tasks you need to be done, and what part of the event that you need to work on versus, let's say, if you're collaborating with someone, what they need to work on. So make sure you divide those tasks among your team members or whoever is helping you, because if you take it all upon yourself, it can be a lot, and the event might not turn out as well as you hoped for it to do. And then, yeah, as a tip, as I mentioned, always start building pieces of an event, and then kind of like work your way up and make it more specific as you go. Because it is hard to like start with this big idea and then like try to implement it right away. So then, added the slide, we have additional tasks. So this is what generally the structure that cabinet follows, but you could definitely take things, takeaways from this slide and kind of apply it to any events that you want to create as well. So the first thing that we do is, kind of create a flyer in mind and have an event description. So we use the description for advertising purposes, um, and also just to have a general outline of, you know, what what we want people to take away from the event. And then we all also register our event on SB Engage, which is our platform for the Stony Brook community. So that needs to be done a couple weeks in advance. So if you have a school platform or anything where you're putting up your event, make sure you have that done a couple weeks in advance so you're not struggling last minute to kind of post it up there and have people registering. And then you would also just like promote the event on social media or any other platform you have to get people interested and spread the word. This you also want to leave a couple weeks for advertising because people are checking social media at different times, right? But you want to make sure that you definitely do utilize social media because especially young people in this generation rely on social media for information and things like that. So you want to make sure you're using tools that society makes good use of. And the last thing, you want to make sure that anyone who's interested in going to your event um, is updated with the link to join the Zoom meeting and whatnot and supplemental materials. And it also just serves as a reminder because, as I previously mentioned, we all have busy schedules, right? And we often tend to forget the different things that we have to do. So it's just nice to have a reminder and just say like, hey, our event is starting in 2 hours or so, and that will just give people um, time to, remember that, oh, okay, I have to go to this event. And then next, I have a sample event that Spire Cabinet created. So this was in collaboration with Neuroscience Access. And just to go over some of the key elements that I discussed in this presentation. So collaboration, I mentioned, we collaborated with Neuroscience Access. As far as our target audience, we wanted, anyone from the Stony Brook community to attend um, from all different um, grade levels to attend. So our questions were very like not specific. So you don't need like a neuroscience class. You don't need to have to take that to attend to answer these questions. They're very basic. Um, and so we started off with we had a Zoom call, and we started off with kind of defining the main topic of our event. So we wanted it to be something neuroscience related because we were collaborating with Neuroscience Access, and that was kind of their area of specialty. So we defined that first. And then we decided we wanted to kind of have the different five senses and then piece them into a memory fragment sort of thing where we would have a neuron going through different lobes in the brain and discovering these different pieces of memory and then to create a final memory. So after defining the neuroscience topic, we tried to come up with a final memory, and then from that we decided to break that down into the different five senses and decided to see what we could do um, with that. Just wondering if I missed anything. No. Okay, so I do want to show you guys a rough doc first. So this was kind of the rough doc that we had um, as part of like this is just like what Spire Cabinet did that was working on the event. Neuroscience had their own doc, which we then shared at the meeting. But I just wanted to give you guys um, so we had like different elements that we could incorporate into the Senscape escape room. So we had like maybe an idea of like rhyming or riddles. We also had like we had an idea of where people could find things in their own house and kind of use that to answer the form. We also had an idea of just like exploring the Spire theme, integrating that into the escape room. So we have like neurosciences, sort of their area, and then as well as ours. We also talked about hieroglyphics. Um, Kind of like I came up with some of these crazy ideas with like having like help points or like competitive points, um, and like some secret rooms. So it was just like literally it was like whatever came to our mind, we kind of just put on the doc. And then, after that, whoever you're working with, you guys can sit down together and kind of discuss um and bold or highlight whichever ones you like and then just disregard the other ones. But it just gives you a nice idea of, where you guys are at, and it gives you guys something to have prepared for your first meeting, so you guys aren't like wasting time, I guess, and sitting there trying to come up with some basic ideas. So yeah, we also had a receipt generator, Morse code. So some of these, when I show you guys the escape room, some of these elements will actually be incorporated into the escape room, which is kind of cool. Um, yeah, hieroglyphics. So this was really um, our planning doc. Um, Now I want to give you guys, I can show you guys the presentation. So we also decided that for this event, we would kind of create a presentation on the basis of neuroscience and kind of about the brain and the different brain regions so that they could potentially use some of the information they learned from here, very, very basic information, to solve the Senscape escape room. So with this, we worked on some of the slides, and neuroscience worked on some of the slides. So it's a mutual effort. So this might be something you want to do when you're creating an event. If you want to have a presentation, you might want to just split the slides, and split like topics that you guys want to research and create. So we just had like the hippocampus, um, the temporal lobe. So these are just like the different lobes in the brain that we had. We wanted to make sure that, they left with some tangible knowledge about the brain, and about neuroscience. So this is just like describing the escape room and the activity that we had for them. This kind of ties in with the fun activity at the end. So after lecturing them, we decided to have this Senscape room that they could apply their skills with. Um, so yeah, this was like the main idea was that it was a baby neuron that starts at the hippocampus and kind of travels all the way through the brain to come up with a final memory. Um, and yeah, so that's the escape room. So there's a link here, but I'm just gonna put here. I wanted to actually give you guys a couple minutes to kind of explore this on your own, um, and kind of see like how we did it before I go through it with you guys. So, it should be this presentation should be in the Spire Google Drive. The form should also be as well. So if you guys want to access that for a couple minutes and kind of just try to figure it out, you can do that. If you guys can't access it, then just let me know and we can figure it out from there. So I'll just give you guys like about like 10 minutes to just like explore through it on your own, and then you can just like I can explain to you um after. um Mega, I will check that out right now. If not, I can just share it with you, and that might just make it easier. All right, I shared it with you. If you can access it, just let me know. No problem. Okay, yeah, sure. Good idea, Priya. I can also just like paste this in the chat. So I'll do that. For those of you guys who want to watch the recording, by tonight I'll make sure that this presentation is in the Spire Drive so you can access it. But if you can't, just like feel free to, you know, DM me on Slack, not Slack, DM me on Discord or just email me. Oh no. Yeah, and just as like a side note, if I'm talking too fast, just let me know and I can slow down. Also, if you're done with the escape room, like feel free to look through the presentation or the rough document, whichever you want to look at. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just making sure this is shared. Yeah, it should be in the workshops folder under cabinet. All right, so it's 9:35, so I can just start going over it. Okay, so I just wanted to include this to give you guys kind of an idea of like how we kind of put together an event. Um, okay, so did you guys yeah, so that was just like I don't know if you guys saw it, but that was just like a brief description of kind of what this escape room is kind of representing. So as I mentioned, it's like a neuron going through the brain to kind of come up with final memory. Okay. So we started, I think I gave you guys the answer, but we started off with like where they are. And we used a hieroglyphic, which was in our planning doc. So did any of you guys get the answer to this?
That was hippocampus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just like a thing with these forms is that, like, I guess it depends on the activity that you use when you're creating an event because, for example, if you're using these Google Forms, I believe like capitalization maybe doesn't matter in some of them, but like the exact wording matters as well. So you do want to take that into account when you're creating your event and your target audience as well. Because, if it's like young kids, then it may not work out. So just like keeping that in mind. But yeah, this is the hippocampus. This one, you may know the answer, but it has to be like formatted correctly. But what did you guys get for this one?
Short-term memory and long-term memory.
Yes. So yeah, this would like you have to enter it exactly like this for it to be correct, which is kind of like frustrating with these kind of things. So just keep that in mind. Um, okay. So then this is the next question. So do you guys know what the shape was?
This one was like a seahorse, right?
Yeah. So you can see like this was in the presentation as well. So we kind of just incorporated like different elements that we exposed people to. Um, so we have like images. Do you guys know this one? You guys should all know this one.
What we feel
Yeah.
every day.
If not, that's okay. So the answer is stress. Yes, Priya is correct. We feel it every day. So you can see there's like images. Um, we have like little puns in here. Do you guys know this one? Oh, I gave you the answer. I'll give you guys this one too. So it's, you guys might not have gotten this far, but it's ion channels. Get it? So it's like a little pun. This one is, so like some of these are just like normal questions, and some of them like actually require you to think. But this one you can see like we have different kind of elements in the form. So this one would be hormones. So we didn't, directly, this has like nothing to do with like scientific, I guess. It's like very understandable, the sentence, to like everyone. Um, so kind of like keep that in mind as well when you're creating events. And like don't make it like a lot of jargon or like scientific technicalities. You want to also make sure it's relatable to the audience that you're presenting to. Ignore my dog in the background. Um, this one is also like sort of a little pun. The answer to this would be synapse. And so then after like having these questions, we have like a specific element that they're going to uncover, of like a specific sense of the five senses. So that's pretty interesting. So here, this is going to be hearing as a sense, and the answer would be hiss. So you can see that, you start to uncover a little bit of the memory, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so this is kind of just telling you, like, that something hissed at you. Um, and now we're going through the olfactory bulb. Um, yeah, so this one, okay. So you can see this is Morse code, so you have to like Google a Morse code translator, and kind of translate it by hand. You saw this in the planning doc as well, where I had like the Morse code image. So this is also like a good representation of how the planning doc would help you. This one, I believe, is Febreze. Okay, and then we have another Morse code one. So, you don't have to make every question unique. You just want to have enough elements that people don't get bored of like the same, I guess. And it makes it more engaging, and it makes people having to think. I see the chat's going off, so okay. Uh, okay, yeah. So this is wipes. Um, and then we have another Morse code one, and this would be tissue. So this all like, we just thought like it'd be interesting to add an element of Morse code because you probably haven't seen it before. Um, then we're on to the next part. So, this is the second element. So we had smell. Um, and then we're going through the parietal lobe. And this is like a lot of text, but this is kind of like a build up to like one of the questions. So like I know it was like a lot of work for that one question, but it provides like really good context. You'll see in like the next question especially. Um, but you can just see like this is like sort of like a little bit of the memory as well. Um, yeah. So the next one is gonna be the next one is gonna be basically a map of SBU and the campus, and you have to like look at where you are. And I thought this was a really nice thing to add because going back again to the message of target audience, since everyone that is doing this is a Stony Brook student, we thought it would be, very relatable, to add this in, and we thought that everyone could guess it, except probably, yeah. So this was like a good element to add. So you want to keep this in mind too. Um, and we had GIFs too, as you can see in the last one too. So just like, really, you can really add anything you want, and that's like the beauty of planning events. It's your event, and you can make it however you want to make it. Next, we have the somatosensory cortex. This one is like another riddle. So you can see in our planning doc, we had riddles written down, and the answer would be back. And then this one was the receipts. This was also in our planning doc. I just found like this like weird website after doing research that you can like plug in your receipts. So definitely do your research and, don't be afraid to put in something that's totally like unique, that's what makes your event your event. And the more unique it is and the more strange it is, the more people are likely to remember, and have a good laugh at it too. So this one, basically, I guess I'll go through the way to solve this. So you just look at the atomic number. So it's like sodium and then chloride, which is salt. So you would just use this as salt. And then this is just like another part of the memory. So like, that there's sweat involved. Yeah, so we just like added, you can see like we added like little sentences. So it like flows more of like a story rather than um, like independent parts. And it kind of just like is more coherent that way. Um, yeah, then we have like the sixth brain region. So this was also something pretty cool we added in here. Before this I didn't know like what these were, but I think they're called like stenograms. And you can like definitely find these online, and it's hard to see, but you're supposed to see stuff in it. So I'll just either one you click, it doesn't matter. So I'll just click that one, and just click it again. So this is supposed to be an animal, which I can show you guys. Hopefully it'll show me yeah, so I can just show you guys like what it was supposed to. Here. Oh, maybe you guys can't see, but they're supposed to be like geese, like in a line, like where my cursor is. Wait, not geese, sorry, what am I saying? It looks like a geese, I'm pretty sure, but it's not a geese. It's like that animal. So yeah, that was like pretty interesting. It was a cool element that you can kind of add. Um, and then this is like another story kind of, and it's the final thing. So you're back at the hippocampus and you want to figure out what the memory was. So we have like a funny little thing here, and I kind of gave you the answer before, but it's goose. So our memory was basically just a goose attack on like in Roth Pond, because like we figured a lot of people would know about it, because I guess it's like a daily struggle that we have to face when we go there. So we thought it would be, funny to use that as our memory. And then this is courtesy of Priya. I can play this, but Priya wanted to add this. I'll play this for you guys. Can you guys hear it?
Not really. Do you mind sharing your computer audio?
Yeah, I'll share it. There you go. You guys can hear now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here you go.
それを返せ。さもないと後悔するぞ。お前一人に一体何ができる？誰が一人だと言った？You should know that a man with the power of nature can bring you to the end of your life. And you should know by my smile and the look in my eyes that you are about to be massively forced to give up. Chicken attack, chicken attack. Watch your back before it fades to black. They may look harmless, but they make more chicken ass. Go chicken go, go chicken go. Now gonna fly, you on the sky. With the power of nature, you are never alone, and you can't live alone, man. Every beast, every tree follows me to the end, and you're about to be massively fucked. Chicken attack, chicken attack. Watch your back before it fades to black. They may look harmless, but they make more chicken ass. Go chicken go! You're young and you're hungry, perhaps short on money. I give you this chicken today. It's eggs for your dinner, it's legs for next winter. You won't have to steal again.
なんて慈悲深い方だ。あなたは全ての動物を操らぬのですか。
全ての動物が操れるけど、鶏が一番なんだ。
助けて助けて、僕の兄が不死身で銀行強盗に巻き込まれたんです。
大丈夫だ、心配するな。Go chicken go, go chicken go, now gonna fly you on the sky. Oh lady, oh lady, oh lady.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll stop it there. But yeah, so that was just like a nice little hilarious thing to kind of leave people with. Oh, I'll just share it again. Here. Where's the escape room? I don't know where the escape room went. Well, that was the escape room. But you guys could see like through the escape room that like, well, that video was like not related to the escape room, but we just included it, you know, just to leave people with like a smile on their face once they're done. And you guys could see like throughout the escape room that, you know, you can make it as complex as you want to make it and have as many layers as you can. And that's like not just like in general with escape rooms, but like really any event that you create, you can take it in whatever direction you want to create it, take it in. And like, that's kind of the beauty of it. Um, and you know, you are the maker of like whatever event you want to host. Um, so yeah, it's really up to you how you want to frame it and, you know, what kind of images or questions you want to include, and you know how creative you want to be with it. So that's all I had for this workshop. Do you guys have any questions that I can answer?
I'll ask the question. So, Aneesha, what is your favorite part about making events?
So my favorite part is, I think you guys kind of guessed it, but it's kind of like you creating your own event, right? And you taking it in whichever direction you want to take it. You kind of utilizing your creativity, and kind of thinking out of the box to kind of, you know, do what you want with it, and also like engage other people and kind of get them interested into whatever you're interested in and whatever you're passionate about. So that's what I like the most. It's like you can do whatever you want with it, but you're also kind of inspiring other people as well. So it's like a double win for you, I guess. But yeah.
Awesome.
Do you
Thank
guys
you.
have any other questions? Sorry, Priya, I cut you off.
You're okay.
Sure. Yeah. I hope you guys learned something from this. I hope it inspired you to create your own events, or you know, it doesn't have to be like with Inspire, but like whatever you do, or even in the future, you're probably going to end up using these like deadlines wise, time management, you know, creating itineraries. All these things are things you're going to need in the future. So I hope it helped you in some way. I know most of you guys are like already part of Spire, but I do hope that it helped you or inspired you in some way. Thanks, Priya. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love. But yeah, if nobody has any more questions, we can sign off. I'll let you guys go because it is a Wednesday night. But yeah, thank you guys for attending. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. You should have a copy of all this. If you don't, contact me and I'll give it to you. But yeah, other than that, good night, guys. Bye.